nothing.
I was thinking the same.
You just see the,
We'll tell you that one.
yeah, oh, yeah, I can see the down.
I'll have one.
Yes,
There it is.
yep, we are on live now.
Distribution, Chris.
Apologize.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
You should get it raised around here.
Yep. So we apologize for the technical difficulties. We are on item number 10, motion to revive signers on the Gilbert School bank accounts at Northwest Community Bank to include Hannah Bryant, Michael Susi, Deborah Lewis, Maura Hurley, effective July 1st, 2026. So I read it, I'll make that motion.
A second.
All right, Teresa, or was that, so when you add, do you have to remove others or no? Like, do you have to remove you, you're on it, right?
I'm on it, Donnie's on it.
Do you have to remove, do we have to remove them
No.
too, or no?
No,
That's
what
what
this
this is
is
kind of
That's
doing.
what this is.
Right.
Well, this is adding them, but it doesn't say replace them, it just seems like we have even more than.
Yeah, no, I think when you do a new signature card,
That replaces the old.
that replaces the
It
old.
says to
Okay.
revise the signers.
Okay, so it's,
Yeah.
these are
Those are
the
the, those are the ones that will be allowed to sign.
Got it, okay.
So there's a motion,
Oh, yeah.
okay, all in favor,
That's not a question,
He's flexing.
unanimous?
I didn't realize your vote had to wind up.
And then we have an additional, I'll make a motion to revise or rename signers of ED 099 agreement for child nutrition programs to remove Diane Cook and add Hannah Bryant. Michael Susi will remain as second signer. Can I have a
A
second?
second.
Kurt, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
To this
Sure.
part. In keeping with the motions for signatures, since Diane is no longer a signer, I'd like to request that she be allowed to still be an administrator on the accounts without signing rights until she officially retires, so she can have access to the accounts but can't sign checks.
This was at the, kind of the bank's recommendation for a smooth transition.
Do you need a motion for that?
That makes sense.
I would like one, the bank would probably ask for one.
So I will make a motion to keep Diane Cook as an administrator of all accounts at Northwest Bank without signing rights.
Northwest Community Bank, beneficial.
Until her date of retirement.
I'll second it.
Until the date of retirement.
Until her date of retirement.
Don't want.
You got that, Laura?
Not entirely, but,
Made a motion to retain Diane Cook's access to all bank accounts at Northwest Community Bank
As an admin,
As an admin.
until her,
retirement, date of retirement.
Without signing rights.
just like a grammar mess.
There was a reason that he taught shorthand in the old days.
without signing rights. Yep. So we have a motion, Kurt seconded, and all in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Ellen said.
Oh, I had
Oh,
Ellen.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Ellen.
Ellen did, sorry.
Okay.
That was the last one. We good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Control list.
Approval of policies.
I didn't print them, but we have them in here. I'm gonna open up like I normally do, because we've had first read, second read, and now we have the action items.
Yep.
So I will make a motion that we approve policy 1205, agenda format preparation dissemination, as presented, which everybody should have and seen many times, redlined.
So you have a motion, you have a second, any,
Any discussion? Who's the second?
Tara?
No,
Oh, Teresa, sorry.
The second time.
All in favor? Unanimous?
All right, and I'll make a motion that we approve policy 1350, senior citizen benefits, as presented.
I'll second.
Oops,
Jonathan got
got
it.
Oh, we did? I didn't hear you, sorry. All in favor? Unanimous?
And I'll make a motion we approve policy 5140.1, wellness policy, as presented.
Come on, Jonathan.
I'll second.
Alright.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? That does it for our policies. Moving on to head of school report.
Okay, first the bus loop update. I met with engineers to review our plan and look at the finances to make sure that they're still all within the scope that we originally talked about. And also talked about the steps to apply for the funding through DAS. So we've been going back and forth the last week or so, preparing to apply for the DAS grant. There's two dates that are out there. There's one that states at the end of this month is when the application is due, and there's one that's in October. I was told that the October date is the one that we're applying for, but just to be safe, we're going to apply by the end of this month and then set up a call with DAS to have them walk us through our application to make sure that everything is the way it should be, so when it is officially reviewed, it's ready to go. So that's moving along.
Can I, where are the two separate, are the two separate dates, or did you hear about them?
So on their website, I believe it says that their application deadline process is June 30th, and I think in the legislation that was passed, I think that says October.
So one's not like a letter of interest versus a...
Never done this before, so I'm not 100% sure, which is why I have
But you're ready.
brought in
For
the
whatever.
professionals to guide me through this. And worst case scenario, if they tell me when I submit it before the end of the month, if they say, no, it's October, okay, great.
No, that's great. Oh, okay, good. All right.
But early.
It's smart to do it early, no, it's smart, it makes sense.
So the point is that is moving forward, and we are engaging people to help us through this process to make sure that it's as efficient as possible.
And we can't begin any progress until, like, they don't, do they pay in arrears, or you can't begin the work before you get
I
approved?
believe it's reimbursed. I think
Oh,
you
it
pay
is.
and you get reimbursed. I believe, but this is all new to me.
Mhm.
I don't even know what the parameters are as far as, are they gonna come back to me and say, I need to bid out for the original planning phase, or could I hire an architect or a civil engineer to do the original planning phase and then bid out the contractors? I don't know where that stands. The first part is to get our application together and then have DS tell me, okay, now you need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm assuming engage our building committee. I'm assuming we will create a building committee. These are all assumptions that I'm making, but I'll get clarification from DAS ahead of time, so again, we're as efficient as possible. Insurance update. So as we agreed, we were switching over to self-insured, which Diane is thrilled about. We've had a couple of meetings with our vendor, our broker, to walk us through it, to make sure we understand every component. Our broker has been working with the CEA regional rep, as well as our union, to make sure that there's no disruption. Things seem to be progressing quite well. I had a meeting today with the CEA rep, and I met with our broker yesterday. So we're assuming that at the end of this week, all the checks and balances will have been done, and we'll be ready to get our cards out to our folks on or by July 1st.
It's gonna be great, Diane.
Diane's
Great.
glad she's
Oh, well.
When you're home.
I'm going to jump down to 5, interview update, just to give you a sense of where we are. With Donnie moving on, we hired Jamie Farrell in that position as a curriculum person. With Wendy's retirement, we have consolidated our classes and are using those funds for a Dean of Students position, which we are currently interviewing for as we speak. I hope to have that position wrapped up by this week, next week the latest. And then we also have another position related to the trust that is happening right now as well, a director of Restless Life. And we still have a nurse position that we're trying to hire for. I thought we had a candidate for a nursing position, but I don't know what I was looking at. I think it was an old candidate, so we don't have anyone. We continue to still advertise. We're going to try and beat the bushes over the summer to get somebody to help out in the fall. So that is the interview update. Feature a teacher. I do not have that in my packet, so I'm going to have to hold off on that. And the last one is the Trust School Corp configuration. So I met with the Trust at their last meeting, and we discussed the future of the Trust and the School Corp. And in that discussion, it was presented to the Trust that a typical town academy operates differently than the way Gilbert is set up. A typical town academy has one budget, has two committees. It has an operational committee and it has a scholarship endowment committee. The way we are currently set up as of this past year, we have the trust doing the scholarship and the endowment, but they also do operating, which is unusual, and the School Corp does operating as well. So the recommendation that I presented to the trust was that the trust move out of the operating business, move that over to the School Corp, so all the operating happens under the School Corp, and the trust just focuses on the trust and the endowment, so the scholarship and the endowment funds. For that transition to occur, there would be a couple components that would happen. All of the expenses under the trust, that would be the salaries for the few folks that work for the trust, would move over under the School Corp. With that transition, all of the School Corp's revenue for the international program moves over to the School Corp as well. Currently, as it sits, the trust gets all the tuition, and then they pay a portion of what they take in to the School Corp, which again is not a traditional model. You have two operations, two revenues, and the revenue for the School Corp is stagnant. So whether the trust takes in more students or not has no bearing financially in a positive way on the School Corp. So the proposal is that the trust give up all the operations and their revenue to the School Corp to make it under one budget and one operations. To do that, the School Corp, since the trust invested in the international program originally, and they sunk money into the houses and the dorms, to make this transition occur, the School Corp would have to purchase the dorm, which is the trust's initial investment into the international program. If that occurs, the School Corp would purchase the assets of the trust, which is the dorm and the two vans and some of the office equipment and the furniture in the dorm, move that over to the School Corp side. That way the trust is completely out of the operations business. And the School Corp takes on that responsibility. But the School Corp also takes on the full revenue that comes in. That purchase would occur from the tax credit money that the trust received, the school corp received. When the school corp received the tax credit money, the board voted that that money would go towards capital expenses. So this would be a capital expense. Now the school corp would purchase the dorm from the trust for a set amount, which I believe $2 million was the number that was talked about. The initial payment that the school corp would make to the trust would be just shy of $900,000, which clears out all financial obligations that the trust currently has. The other $1.1 million would be paid for over time at a 0% interest, with any remaining funds left over at the end of a fiscal year. So if the fiscal year for the trust has a surplus, they would take a portion of that surplus and apply it to that 1.1 balance.
If the corp has.
If the corp
Corp
has
yep.
money at the end of the year.
I think it's important to stress a portion. It's not
Portion.
like if we end up in a surplus,
No.
the whole thing will go.
Correct, correct. What that does is then it pays off the remainder of that loan over time without interest, and it's flexible for the school board in case they have a tough year. The other piece, since the school corp, since the trust invested money into this program and now they're giving up that program, that they would have two additional seats on the board. When this is all said and done, the benefits for both sides are multiple. On the trust side, they are out of the operations business. They are cleared of any financial debt that they have, and the money that they put into the Res Life program would come back to them and go back into their endowment and scholarship funds. So that's the trust side. The school corp side, the school corp now gets a dynamic revenue stream. Now this system is what makes a town academy the benefit of a town academy. So currently right now, we get a small portion of the money that comes in, and it doesn't really move the dial for operations for us. By taking in all of the revenue stream that's coming in, that goes directly to operations. And that allows us, as a board, to determine what our tuition will be for the next year. So no longer are we stuck in a model where we have to take all of our expenses and divide it by how many students and come up with a per pupil, and we're stuck with that. And then that's what our clients or our customers are stuck with, meaning the town. Now, with a revenue stream, and look at it as a business model, we have money coming in. We can say, as a board, we feel that this is an appropriate tuition for us to give to our customers. And the important distinction between that is, we'll take this past year. We got slammed with insurance. Because of the model that we have, that expense is passed directly on to the town, which created about an 8% increase in tuition to the town. Because that's what our model is. That's how the model is developed. Next year, if we continue with the same model, it's going to be a similar scenario where we just pass on that expense. If we switch to this new model, where we have a revenue stream coming in, we can now say as a board, okay, this year our tuition went up by 8%. We can't keep doing that to our client, our customer. We need to keep that number as tight as possible. And then we need to, as a business, figure it out on our end through our revenue stream. Currently, we don't have a revenue stream. The trust does, we don't. With this model, now we can. So I'll give you some examples of ways that we can have a positive impact on the revenue stream, which then has a impact on the operational budget. So currently, the way the trust is operating, there are revenue opportunities that they're not capitalizing on. For example, we're not doing a summer program. We have a dorm here, we could do a summer program here. When Chris and I were at Woodstock Academy, we were doing a summer program, and I think the last year we were there, I think we netted $75,000 for a couple weeks summer program. We have a resource that we're not using to generate revenue. Other ways, we have dorms space over the December break. We are not capitalizing on that as a revenue stream. Most boarding schools close down during that time and kids go home. We have the ability to keep it open and use it as an additional revenue stream for families. It's expensive for a student in China to fly home for 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, then fly back again. It's much cheaper if we open up our dorms for our students and offer that service for a fee. So there are other models that open up revenue streams for us. And as that revenue stream comes in, if it is under one budget, that complete revenue stream comes in and has an impact on the operations. So that's the benefit of a town academy, and that's the standard model. So we're proposing, I presented that to the trust approved presenting this model to the school corp. If the school corp likes that model and wants to move forward, the trust is on board with that model. So that is an awful lot that I just threw at you. To me, it's like second nature because Chris and I have done that for years. That's a standard model. That's not what you do here. I think it's the current system that's in place does not benefit the town academy model, nor does it benefit our customers because the revenue stream stays on the trust side and never really impacts operations.
So I want to open up if people have initial questions for Mike, but just to level set, I sent, I think it was last week, I sent everybody a placeholder for a special meeting next week because, like Mike said, it's a lot to discuss. Some of the trustees, we've heard about this at the trust meeting, we've had time to think about it. I want to give everybody the opportunity to digest and come up with questions. You can feel free to email them to Mike in the interim. We can still discuss tonight. Or even come with questions next week, but I don't want to have a motion or any type of vote tonight to allow us all to, it's a big consideration, so I want to make sure we do it right. But does anybody have any questions? I'll open up to Mike.
Can you speak to the redundancies this could eliminate between the corp and
the trust? Yes. So currently right now, we have two separate entities running two separate operations. So I'll just rattle off a couple examples that are pretty easy to look at. The business functions. We have two payrolls. So we're paying ADP twice to do payroll. We have a simple one, two mail machines that we lease or rent. There's one right down the hill, there's one here. We don't need two mail machines.
You guys can come use those anytime you want now.
Oh, that's very nice of you, thank you.
For food, food service.
Well, cleaning, custodial. We talked about the business part. Food service is another one. What's some other ones we came up with recently? Workman's comp,
Snow plowing.
landscaping, insurance. We met with our liability insurance broker yesterday. We're paying for cyber insurance for both places. We don't need to do that, because under one, it's one. So with two entities, you have redundancies that don't make sense. It's just a waste of money. So this is another way to be more efficient by having all operations under one budget. Good question.
Anyone else?
Mike, can you talk about what year one looks like, because I'm getting from conversations,
Yes.
year
So-
one's gonna be tight.
Year one will be difficult, yes. We were late this year hiring an admissions person, and we missed the best window to attract students for next year. So we have to work harder over this summer to try and fill those spots. Now, the number that we used for the budget was 20 students. We can hold up to 40 to 45 students. So currently we have 8 students already, and we still have a season of applications towards the mid to late summer to come. So we'll pick up some students that might have shot high on their applications and maybe not got into their first or second choice. And then we usually have the ability to come in and connect with agents and get some students at that point. 20 to 25 students is about break even for us, depending on the tuition for each student and depending on our expenses. Now, I'm expecting our expenses to come down because of the efficiencies that we're talking about. So maybe it's 20, maybe it's 18, it's in that realm. The point is that we're going to have a hard time coming close to that number this first year because of the timing of admissions. Once we get through this first year, this coming year, we'll be in much better shape for a few reasons. One, we're going to start engaging some of these other revenue streams that we talked about. I had a conversation today with Deb Lewis and some of our Res Life folks about a summer program for next year. So that conversation's happening. The other thing is that we're going to get way ahead of the application process. So next year, we're going to start in December and January with the agents to get exposure and get our name out there earlier to get kids earlier. Another positive is I had a meeting with one of the co-owners of one of the largest placement companies in the Middle East, maybe, would you say the world, or just the Middle East? The world. It's a large organization. And they have a program that they've used with other schools that they signed with us for the following year where they commit to 10 to 15 students. They could not do it this year because we missed the window. But the next year, they've committed to do that. So that's a great partnership for us, and that gives us a big jump up for the following year. That in combination with bringing students back as well, our numbers are going to be already much higher out of the blocks next year than they are this year. If we don't hit our mark to break even this coming year, academic year, not that this is a good practice, but as a fail-safe, we would use the tuition that we get in for the next year to cover that gap. So say we're 100,000 short, or 200,000 short. We would have to use the tuition for the 27-28 school year to get us through that year. But at least we know that we've used that, so then our break even for that next year has to be higher. So then we say to admissions, okay, we had to use some of this money, now we need to bring in even more kids to make sure that we break even. So, yes, it's going to be tight next year because of these factors. But we know what the factors are. We have things in place to address those factors so we don't run into those problems again. We also have recognized the revenue streams that aren't capitalized, where we can start engaging in those areas to increase our revenue. And then we have mid-year next year, bringing more students in. So there are mechanisms in place that are going to set us up for the next year. It's just this coming year, because of the timing, it's going to be challenging. The other thing that I can share is the group that I talked about, the consulting group. They take their best agents, agents that have placed multiple students with them through their organization, and they do a road show with them. So they take 15 to 20 of their best agents, and then they come to the United States and they visit the schools that they are promoting. And in that conversation, they are putting us on that road show. So when they come this October, they will come here with their agents. The agents will see our dormitories, see our schools, see our surrounding areas, and that has a significant positive impact on placing students. When agents can actually visit and see the place, they're much more comfortable sending students to that placement. So, yes, next year is going to be challenging for those factors, but we know what the issues are. We know how to face those issues if we can't close that gap. And we know that moving forward, we're just going to get stronger and stronger on the revenue side and be able to tighten up our expenses as we move forward. So from a business perspective and a financial perspective, this is a much, much better model than the stagnant model that's in place right now, where you have duplicity with expenses and you have one side keeping more revenue than where the operation expenses are.
Other questions?
Another one.
Wait, did you have one, Jane? Oh, okay, I thought you were
One
starting to speak,
statement,
okay.
then a question.
Okay, go ahead.
How do we make sure we have enough money to pay our portion of the bus loop if we use more of that? I know that there's some conversation that our portion of the bus loop is still a little fluid in conversation. Say worst case scenario, we have to put in this money that we're gonna use to purchase the dorm was money we would have used for that. So what's the plan?
So in that account, we have just enough to do both, but I'll be upfront. That would wipe out practically all the funds in that account. So worst case scenario, if the state says that we have to pay our portion, our reimbursement rate of, I think it's 27.5%, something like that, of the project, then we have the funds to do that and to pay off the debt from the trust, which is like 880,000, so it's less than 900. And in my conversations with the engineers that drew up our plan that we submitted to the state, they have high contingencies in there at multiple steps. Planning for the way the political climate has been, in case something occurs that jacks up the prices. war breaking out or COVID, something like that. So we do have in that original estimate room. So if we have to back that down a little bit, we can to give ourselves some breathing room. So worst case scenario, we could do both. It'd be ideal, and this is what you're referring to, the language from the state, we're trying to get clarification on it because the way it reads, it says something to the effect of the town academy's portion is waived. So we're trying to get a reading on that from DAS and the state to understand what that means. If that means, because this is a safety issue and it has to be addressed, and the state is saying that they are waiving our responsibility for that, then we're fine. Then we don't have to access that money. But if they say no, it reads that you do have to pay your portion, okay, we can do both. It'll be stressful, but we can do both.
You're still waiting to hear back on the language?
Yes. And the timing of this thing as well too. So I'm not sure that the funds for the bus loop will be extinguished before the end of next year. So let's call it $1 million. Let's just say the bus was going to cost $1 million. I don't think we're going to write that $1 million check and spend that before we get a chance to get our feet under us on the res life side, the mission side for next year. So I think that even the worst case scenario, by the time we get really deep into that expense, it's going to be the springtime of next year, because we're not, or even farther out, we're not even breaking ground until next summer.
So we're really probably looking at writing checks more in like 2028.
Yes, yes,
So we have time to
yes,
beef up the revenue streams.
yes. So the timing actually plays in our favor.
By the time you do engineer drawings, get all that stuff going, get all the people, all the players, you're probably looking at spring of the following year.
I'm optimistic. My conversations with the engineers, if I hit it just right and I have all my ducks in a row for the application, and October they approve the cash, but we have the plan all set up, they can line up do the bids and line up the people and break ground next summer. It's tight, but it may happen next summer. But even so, that's already past the school year. So I would be using money to pay upfront costs, really, not the heavy expenses.
So Mike, for the, you mentioned we would initially pay the under 900,000, but then there would have to be an MOU between the trust and the school board for the agreement that we pay off the remainder slowly each year, that we have a surplus, a portion.
So if the school corp side has money at the end of the year, a surplus, a portion of that would go towards paying down that obligation.
And it's not a required percentage that will be set by the school board.
I would leave that decision with the school corp, because say the school corp knows it has an expense coming up in the next year that they're gearing up for, and they don't want to use that money for that, they want to use it to keep the operating budget low, so they don't pass on a high percentage to the town. The school corp is the one that makes that decision.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
In that MOU, is there, I mean, on the trust side, they're looking at, the time frame is also open-ended, could take 10 years, could take 15 years.
Yes.
There's not a set time period that's gonna be in the MOU either.
I would not recommend putting one in there.
And it's just
Right.
installments of whatever.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it's like,
It's not finance, no interest or anything, right?
No.
Right, it's just installment when you,
I think this
whenever
is,
you can.
I think that the two organizations are supporting the same cause. I mean,
Right.
they're all supporting Gilbert students. One charging the other one interest, or one, putting a stressor on the other one, I don't think benefits any. I think the beauty of this is that it's the right hand and the left hand are working together to meet the needs of both sides.
Certainly the look of it is good because it's fully transparent. You know, I mean, with the whole education system, it's all, on the
Yeah.
school board side, it's very transparent. So you see all the revenue coming in, and then you see how it's expended, so it makes total sense.
Yes. Now it does, I want to be clear about this, it does change the narrative. So this group right here, this group is the Gilbert School Corp group. We are a business, so we set a number, a tuition number that we feel comfortable with, and then that is our number that we use for our clients. It is no longer a per pupil divide one into the other, because we have the flexibility to assign that number. And we assign that number collectively because of the factors that come into play for the Gilbert School Board. And that could be higher or lower, depending on what is best for the school board. Keeping in mind that we're a business and our client is the town or the sending towns, plural. So we have to be cognizant of our clients and what we are charging them and why we're charging them. But how we come up with that number is much different than the system that you use now. The system that you use now has very little flexibility. The system is, we divide two numbers, we pass that cost on, and then we wait for them to get cut and come begging us to cut. And that's just, it's a very divisive scenario. This new system is, we look at what we need and what our client needs, and we make our best judgment as a organization, and then we set our tuition at that number, knowing full well that we are passing that on. That is our tuition, period.
So our motion at our budget meeting next year would be, instead of I make a motion to approve $10 million budget, would be I make a motion to set our per student tuition at
Correct.
X.
Correct.
Okay.
And we would talk about what goes into that number.
Yep.
Like why we want that number the way we want that
So
number.
you still present a budget?
Yeah, I'll still present a budget, and I'll give you options. That, okay, a 5% increase looks like this, a 3% looks like this, a 1% looks like this. Here's what I would recommend, here's why. And then collectively, the group discusses those options, and then the group votes on those options, and what they feel is best to pass on to our client, or clients. Again, I'm thinking long-term, I'm thinking hopefully not too far down the road, we have more than one sending town. If that is the case, this process that we're talking about doesn't change. We could have 50 sending towns, doesn't matter. It's still the same discussion that we have as a business. Our product costs us this is what our product's going to be.
Shane?
To me, it's just very eye-opening because I think, I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for anybody else, but I would say understanding to this is a little bit more like complex, right? Because I didn't understand the structure as to the trust side to the corp and how that differentiated. So from that point, it's a good clarification, and it seems like it's a distinct advantage, I would say, on multiple levels, but hearing it broke down that way it's very eye-opening, and I think in a positive way, because I don't think a lot of people understand that structure, right? Unless you have a finance degree and understand how a town academy works, I think it can be quite confusing. And I think most people just don't have a good understanding. And again, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. And being on the board, I didn't understand that structure and how a student coming in from China or from another country, how that international student, how it worked. right? And how that actually benefited. So to me, I think it's a advantage that we can utilize that way. So to me, I think it's an exciting thing, so.
And don't feel bad, because when I first started at Woodstock, handling the finances, it took me 6-8 months to really get a grasp of this system. It is just, it's unique. Chris loves to tell the story, when I was first asking about the budget and a line item on the budget, saying, we have $200,000 in this account, can I do this? And he laughed at me and said, are you kidding me? There's no money in that account. You have to bring, that money's gonna come in, it's a forecast. There's no bank account with $200,000 in it. So it's a different model that it takes time to understand, but the upside to this type of model is significant compared to, right now, the school corp is handcuffed in relation to the revenue side. I mean, it's stagnant. It's just, that's all you get. That's it. So,
Yeah, it's clarity. It seems like a unique opportunity. That's how I see it.
It actually seems simpler.
it is.
I mean,
It's
it's
streamlined.
amazingly simpler.
One more clarification, you mentioned that additional 2 seats, and you said those would be appointed by the trust
By the trust.
because of what they're giving up in future revenue and the
Those are
discounted
same
price.
stakes, right?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that the trust is giving up. They're giving up their program that they invested in, and all the revenue that goes with it. So their initial contributions into the program started when they bought the houses, when they built the dorm, all of those things, they're giving up. So to still have a say in the assets that they are transferring over to the school board, those 2 seats would come with that. The other thing that they are giving up is the value of the dorm. But that being said, it's still a win-win. It's a win for them because they're out from underneath any financial obligations that they have, and they're out of the operation business. Their sole job is to oversee the endowment and scholarship.
And it's going back to the model for the trust before they started the international program, because we didn't have employees then. So maybe their alumni, but all of that is transferring.
Yeah.
So,
And you just led right into my statement. I was just like, what an amazing thing is, when you think about it, is it allows the trust now to do more of the great things that we've done, that we do for our students. So that can't be overlooked, the importance of what the trust does, and just to allow them the time and be able to get back to the business of what they do. And I think it's a great thing for the school all around, I think in general. I think it's a great thing for us.
and there's still some crossovers as well. So like Chris's position, Chris will be underneath the school board. He'll be raising funds for Gilbert students and our facilities, but he'll also be supporting the endowment as well. So he has a foot in both worlds, but the ultimate end result of his efforts always comes back to a Gilbert student, whether it's facilities or whether it's a scholarship or what have you.
Well, the new van, for example.
To do van, when I get it.
Holly,
Where to go for this?
I know.
Teresa?
I'm thinking this might be a good time to discuss that, under this, there will be some new committees of the school board.
Yes, so there's duplicate committees on the trust, similar to what we have with building and grounds, whatever, but, under the trust, we also have like an alumni committee, development committee, so we're gonna have to look, Mike and Chris will guide us on what committees we'll have to establish under school corp. So there may be more of a lift, but that's also gonna be beneficial, having 2 additional people for committee work to be done.
Doesn't follow the policy, right?
Yeah, that'll probably follow
Usually,
the policy.
in the bylaws establishing committees, that's under policy. right?
Yep. But yes, good point, there will be additional committee work to be done.
Which, on a positive side, so then the board will hear more about what's happening at Gilbert. When I say Gilbert, I mean Gilbert, not just school board. But you'll hear from Chris as far as the projects that he's working on, the campaign that he's doing. You'll hear from Callie as far as how admissions is going. So you'll be in the know much more holistically on what is happening at the Gilbert school than you are now. Right now, you're kind of siloed with just the operations part, some of the operations.
Town kids.
Yeah, yeah,
And they'll be direct reports to you, right?
yes,
The trust
yes,
committee.
everyone was.
So Chris won't be that seedy character in the corner.
No.
He still is.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
He
Well,
al-
there'll
he
be
can't-
more.
yeah,
He's
you
behind
can't wash
you.
that off. Yeah, you can't wash
You
that
didn't see me
off.
like planting seeds.
No,
I
I
don't
meant
think
what
you're
I meant.
Any other questions or
Nice way of
comments?
sticking to it.
So again, if you have thoughts when you go home and you digest this or through the next week, please feel free to send them to Mike. You could maybe also collect those questions and bring them at our next meeting.
Yes, and I would also offer to make myself available if people want to sit down and walk through on a one-to-one basis to get a better understanding of how a town academy operates and how what that looks like here, or what it should look like here.
So,
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, that as a member of the trust, it's not that I had like no questions. You had given a significant amount of your time because it's something that does, you know.
Yeah, right.
And you were very open to answering questions and answered a lot, like, you know, reiterated a lot of the same information tonight, so I appreciate it. And I felt a lot more comfortable after having spoken with you, so thank you.
Sure.
thanks, Rob. So we will have a special meeting of the school board next Wednesday, the 24th, at 6:30 here in the library, where we can as a group make a decision if this is the plan we want to move forward with, and we'll take action then. Okay. That completes your report.
That's it.
Board of Education report, sorry, we're still,
we're not there.
Board of Education report, Winchester.
Alright, so the big things are, one of the major things is, yes, we signed the MOU, and I mentioned that to Julie. We discussed the questions at the last meeting, and that, as we discussed, will be resolved soon. And on top of that, the budget passed, a referendum last month. Yeah.
For a change, maybe?
I wasn't out of last meeting, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wrap up of kind of the season, it was our last meeting, so, nothing
Do
to.
you have an update on your consultant? I know Mike and I met with him.
Yep, so it was limited because we'll get a final report. I think Julie hadn't met with, or she was meeting with them, I think the day after, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Kurt can speak to it, but she hadn't had a full meeting with them for the full report, as from my understanding at the given time. So she didn't have much to report. She was just speaking to that at our next meeting there would be a more detailed report.
So July.
That meeting was scheduled for this past Monday, which is now, did not happen. It will be rescheduled for July 7th. We don't meet again, we don't meet as a board in July. So our next meeting will be in July.
Okay.
And that is when the final report will be presented to us.
I believe it was August 18th or 20th. We're meeting.
It's gonna be the 18th. There was a lot of rigidity in the date, so we're gonna fall on August 18th. Our normal meeting is August 11th. We're gonna have a special meeting concerning the survey, or the study.
Can I ask, did did you change the meeting? I
Can
thought
you
it
speak up,
started.
Tara? It's hard to hear with the air.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Did I thought it got changed from the 18th to the 20th.
I know at that meeting they discussed it, because one of the members couldn't do it.
Yeah.
When Julie and I sat down to figure out an alternative date, there was no other alternative dates that were gonna work. In that timeframe, either it was an issue on the board side or the consultant side. So we're gonna land on the 18th, and if anyone from our board can't make it, they can present their questions to the other board members to ask on their behalf at the meeting.
Thank you, so that happened offline. I just put thank you very much. And when you said like July 7th for your meeting, is that the Board of Education?
No, that was just Julie was meeting with the consultants.
Just her?
Just her, and I had asked to be present in that, so.
Anything
So
else?
you have not met with them, like
No.
you yourself?
I don't know.
Okay. School corporation report. I know I acknowledged Diane, and this is her last meeting with us, but I also want to acknowledge, as Mike did in the letters, Wendy Salter's retirement after 32 years. We thank her, and Mr. Crosman is leaving us, but he will always be a Yellow Jacket, so we're leaving it at that. Graduation was very nice. It was a great event, and the end of the year is ending, is winding down, so that's all I had. Scott? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you,
Second.
Scott. Jonathan, second. All in favor? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone know, I think